I said I quit, Monty.
Welcome to the Two Horeseman Podcast with your boy, the bearded one, Mars, aka Marlon Beardo, the bearded weirdo, the Stella Rosa Casanova, the curator of culture, the great one, and the podcast god. And I'm here with my wise man. He is my counsel. He is my hot tag team partner, the one, the only POCM. Big Gerald, what's up today, brother?
Want some? Is this on? Only real wrestlers will get that reference.
Only the real wrestling fans. There's probably some 14-year at home like, yeah, it's on, man. I'm looking at my TikTok right now. What's the bearded guy talking about?
Oh man.
We are here on another episode of your favorite number one all black all the time pro wrestling podcast on the planet. We want to thank you guys for making these episodes so very successful. I can speak for Big Gerald. We did not expect this type of quick success. We expect world domination, but not so quickly. So we want to thank you all for tuning in. And apparently, like I say, y'all love the pro wrestling. So we're going to give you that content as we always do. But before we get into it, I have to talk to my wise man. How has the world of pro wrestling been for you this past week? We've had some interesting developments, man.
Interesting developments, some surprises, especially last night. I want to give a shout out to Shawn Michaels for going the extra mile, not only to fool us, but his own wrestlers, as Shawn Spears is reintroduced into the WWE, not as Ty Dillinger, but as he's going to go in as Shawn Spears. And man, he made impact last night, literally. No pun intended.
Yeah, man, it's been some crazy stuff. Usually, when we're this close to the road of WrestleMania, we're not seeing too many surprises. They're making sure they're layering their path to get to WrestleMania. But I mean, between people like Braun Breaker and Tiffany Stratton getting called up, and Shawn Spears making his return, the Perfect 10, formerly known as Ty Dillinger on NXT, it's been a lot of crazy development. So I guess we're going to get right into it. So first, before we get into WWE, because this is not a WWE show, it's a pro wrestling show. We're going to be talking about some wrestling across the world, if you will. My man, formerly Dolph, Nick Nemeth, making big news, winning the, I know I'm going to get this title wrong, it's the International Global Wrestling World Japan. It's some type of global title, but congratulations to Nick Nemeth, man. I was surprised when he got let go. You know what I mean? Almost 20 years in the company, utility guy. He had just been the NXT champ not too long ago. He could give a good match at any single time. But they did let him go, man, and he's doing his thing in New Japan and TNA. What do you think about that, man? And so far, what he's doing over there in Japan?
It just goes to show that, as a wrestler, all you will need is an opportunity. I think when you love the craft, some platforms like that is at WWE, it gets so big, so immersive, so many good wrestlers that you kind of get lost in the shuffle. And it don't mean that you're bad at your craft. It just means that, opportunities will present themselves elsewhere. Shout us out to him for taking this opportunity and running with it. And shouts out to Riddle, who's over there with him as well. I mean, we knew he had some, issues, and then he did let that keep him down. He moved forward and got with a wrestling promotion, and I believe he has a belt as well. I'm not 100% on that, but
television title over at maybe NWA, one of those companies, but yeah, MLW, MLW division, yeah.
You just need an opportunity, When you're a wrestler, the goal is to get on the biggest show you can. But if that don't work out when you love it, but you wherever you go, I thought it was real cool.
Yeah, man, he's doing this thing with another wrestler over there, Mustafa Ali, over there at TNA. Immediately getting the opportunity to show that he can do his thing on the card. So, huge, huge for him. So, yeah, congratulations to those guys, and I'm sure they keep putting in that work. In a year or two, we'll see them back in the E, if you will. So I'm proud of those guys. Now, Elimination Chamber, and before we even continue, man, we've had some losses in the pro wrestling world. So
Right.
I did want to make sure we just take a moment and give our little 10 bell salute for Ole Anderson and Virgil, also known as Vincent, if you're over at WCW. But Ole Anderson, one of the founding members of the Four Horsemen, just passed away. And of course, rest in peace to Virgil, man. One of the few recognized $1 million championships, man. But I remember Virgil very well. He had one of the best storylines of the subservient guy coming in to knock out the most hated $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. So that was a big. Do you remember? You're a little bit younger than me, but do you remember that storyline?
I remember him. I even remember when he came back. I remember his little run in the WCW.
In the
Yeah, I
NWA?
liked him. Uh-huh. I like Virgil, man. I think he had gotten sick at one point too, did he not? Something about his kidneys.
Yeah, I think he was on dialysis, or so. Don't quote me on that.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, he. I know they used to joke him later on, which it's not like wrestling had a union where these guys had retirement plans, so they had to sign. Sometimes that was all they could do when their body didn't allow them to wrestle anymore. They got a lot of flack for having to sign things. But I mean, that's how these gentlemen make their money. So rest in peace to Virgil. Rest in peace to Ole Anderson. Definitely innovators in the pro wrestling game, and their mark is definitely going to go down and live on forever. So rest in peace to those kings. But back to more intelligent stuff, man. The Elimination Chamber from Perth, Australia. It was a pretty good event overall. What did you think about the pay per view as a whole?
Once again, and like I said, it was almost like a mirror of the Royal Rumble, where the women's match actually just outshined everything that happened. Of course, the men's elimination chamber was pretty good. There was not really a lot of shocks. For a minute, I really thought they were going to let Logan Paul win it. But they went with the right choices. Drew McIntyre going on to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I think that was almost a foregone conclusion after the CM Punk injury,
Oh yeah,
and with them still negotiating Drew's contract, pushing him to the moon so that way they don't lose another pivotal wrestler. Uh, Becky Lynch going over to really give Rhea a competitor at WrestleMania, saving some of the other marquee matches as well. I know everybody was up in arms. Yeah, shout out to Mommy and Nia Jax for putting on a good performance, and
a great
shout out,
performance. It was a really, really good match, man. It was a.
and that was a
Can I
really riveting outfit. Yeah,
can I give a shout out to Nia Jax? So man, she has improved leaps and bounds in the ring from her last, or maybe she's just being more careful. But I think she put on a really good match. She
hmm
dominant. Not too many people can dominate mommy, but she looked dominant. And
and she improvised on the fly.
yeah,
That elbow drop through the table after it didn't break when it was supposed to.
yeah,
That was a great spot. It showed that she didn't. freak out. She improvised and it worked out. And then let's see what else was there.
I tell you one thing I didn't care for, and we're kind of
The
bouncing.
tag me,
What did you say?
the tag match for the
Uh,
belts.
that well, it wasn't that bad. It just didn't belong on a pay per view. Not not with those guys. When you have
That was
tag teams like the New Day and American Alpha and what are those two gentlemen that the Creed brothers and uh,
hmm
even uh, Miz and R Truth would have been interested in that particular spot. Um, I can understand that those wrestlers from Perth, even Grayson Waller, and instead of Grayson Waller and um, Austin uh, Theory being in that Waller effect, they could have been. I don't see why they haven't been pushed to the moon as a tag team. So yeah, that tag match, it was fine as far as technical bell to bell, but I just don't think Pete Dunne and Big Strong Boy Tyler Bate are ready to be in the pay per view slot for the tag team match. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think both the tag team title matches, they could have both been on the pre-show.
Absolutely.
The Kabuki Warriors. And I know WWE is notorious for, hey, oh, you from Australia? Let me put you in a match in front of everybody. Now you gonna lose, but I'm gonna put you in a match. They're notorious for that, and I just think there were so many different ways we could. I would have loved to seen a Gunther match
Yeah.
with anybody.
Yeah.
I think that even the Gunther Chad Gable match one more time
Yeah.
in front of that crowd. Man, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I know a lot. The CM Punk injury, from what I've read, really threw a monkey wrench, and then there was some
hmm
issues with Bronson Reed. I think he had a kid, so he wasn't able to
Yeah,
be. 'Cause obviously, that's his hometown. And then it was just a bunch of things where they had to change a lot of things on the fly. I think they said Brock was supposed to take on Dominic Mysterio. Instead, they kind of setting up Dominic to face Gunther. I think he's going to be one of many. It's got to be a ladder match, right? We're skipping around, but I think it's going to end up being a ladder match with Gunther. That way, Gunther can lose the belt without being pinned. You know what I mean?
right.
And so I
And I
think,
think one of the things about the pay per view I noticed, the heat, it really affected them. Like
mm,
as the matches progressed, if you're not used to wrestling in that kind of heat, man, then that I don't know if there's a lot of humidity in Australia, if it's a drier heat, but man, you could tell just as the matches progressed how sluggish the wrestlers were getting, because there's no way to get hydrated during the middle of the match. And so I know that was kind of, hard on them, and then the ropes started getting slippery. It was a lot of things. Well, like I said, the pay per view was actually decent. I just know shouts out to the women for really putting it in. And I don't know who produced the women's match, but they really gave Tiffany Stratton a lot of shine time. I see that they're going to really focus and push her, at least until we get Charlotte back. When that'll be, I'm not 100% sure. But shout outs to them. Nobody looked it horrible in the match.
no,
I
no one
see.
looks bad.
Yeah, I see that they're coming up with something for Bianca. Look for Bianca to be pushed, even if it's in the tag team. I would rather it not be that, but I think there's going to be another women's stable. But don't quote me on that just yet.
Yeah. So what I would like at this point, because it's still what about a month to WrestleMania. Bianca's got to go 5-0. So I think she's going to be the female Undertaker. I don't see her losing at WrestleMania. So at this point, with the spot that went to Raquel Rodriguez, supposed to have been Jade Cargill's spot, and then they realized if she's
hmm
not going to win it, we can't put Jade in the match. So I feel we're going to end up with a Kabuki Warriors versus Jade and Bianca at WrestleMania. And I think that'll be Jade's first match. It'll be at WrestleMania. She'll win gold with Bianca in the first match. And then that will eventually build into a rivalry of Bianca versus Jade. But I think
Mhm.
be buddy buddy to start off with, and they'll take those belts off of the Kabuki Warriors. But I just feel the women's tag team belts are kind of props because the division just doesn't really exist. There's never more than like two or three actual women tag teams at the same time. Like I haven't seen Chelsea and Dewdrop. I'm sorry, Piper Nevin in a while. So like I know what you're saying. You're thinking a mid card women's belt being introduced. Is that what you're? Is that? Am I smart?
Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, and for me, it's the simple fact of, and I'm gonna say this to everybody: the powers that be hear us. They hear the fans. They want women's wrestling. They want to push it. The problem is, there's not a whole lot of fans like us that actually jump behind the product as it goes forward. And so a lot of wrestling promotions are just kind of, throwing things to the wall and see what stick. I know AEW's women's wrestling has not been the greatest, other than Tony Storm, which may be one of the most polarizing female wrestling characters that's been out in a long time. There's nothing else to talk about. Jade Cargill went to the WWE. That was a lot of their firepower, and I get it. Britt Baker is still even considering coming back and doing things because she's unhappy with the state of it. I believe, you know, a bigger push and more of these companies to do more. And it's not the affair that the women can't do it because there are some great female wrestlers right now. I think this is the most talent that any female wrestling division that had in a long time. So
Yeah, absolutely. No question about that. And like I said, it's even deeper. There's some quality women that are on the shelf right now, like Charlotte,
mhm.
arguably the best wrestler in the world, male or female. Arguably. So I have, as always, we got some clips from the last couple of nights in pro wrestling. But before we get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to the Icon coming up soon. Darby Allen, Young Bucks. I've said it before. I don't know if I would have liked this last match to be a tag match, but at this age in 2024, who thought that we'd be getting any Sting matches? Uh, if you put that on my bingo card, I would have not hit that button anytime soon, man. So, what do you think about Sting going out on his own accord, which is what he wanted, and obviously what he deserved? He's had undefeated streak, to my understanding, here at AEW. A lot of people talk about all he did was bury young talent, but I think just getting the rub, being in the ring with Sting, is epic. It's something that you can put on your resume forever. What do you think about
Yeah.
Steve's last dance and this and him going out on his own sword?
So I got three things. First of all, shout out to Nick and Matt Jackson, who
Nicholas,
knew.
Nicholas and Matthew.
Yes, Nicholas and Matthew. So first and foremost, them going into these personas that they got right now, all this Uber heat that they're getting, really going into their EVP roles, was brilliant in order to make it uh, the worst heel you could have going with Sting. And that brings me to the second point. I hear what you're saying. People say the very talent. Without Sting, Darby Allin doesn't get the push that he gets.
Absolutely.
With Darby Allin's character, AEW, they were set up to push him, but not without the guidance, like to actually give him a mentor, to give him someone to be in the ring with him, to give his character a push. I think it was pivotal. So I wouldn't be mad at Sting for them giving them people to bear. All of the wrestling promotions do it at a given time, and the third thing, like you said, at his age, you wouldn't have expected this, but it also gave them, and I don't. This is going to be a comment that I don't know if everybody agree with, but without him there, you don't get Ric Flair and AEW. You know, the Ric Flair thing was kind of a toss up because his son-in-law was there. But
Right.
once Andrade was like, "I'm out of here. I don't want to be here," the signing wouldn't have made sense. So you needed this thing in order to give it some credit, some teeth. Now it's seeming like he's saying all these things at AEW, like he's really not there to do anything. I got an ugly feeling that he's gonna try and get his butt in the ring. We just want to see you getting out of SUVs with your shoes on with no socks with the ashy ankles. Give us that, Rick. Don't
That's
take
all
your
we
shirt
want.
off. That's it. We don't want you to drop an elbow. Leave your jacket on. Don't even woo too hard. Just want to keep you around.
Only two O's in your woo. No woo. Just woo. Just a woo. That's all we need. We don't want to see you go out on camera. Please. That's not what we need in our life. Yeah, man. But I agree, man. And I grew up, obviously, during the, I remember Surfer Sting. But my favorite Sting, obviously, was the Crow Sting. And, it was one point probably from 97 to like 2000 where he was like the biggest character ever. So yeah, shout out to Sting, his longevity. He is the LeBron of pro wrestling. You know,
So Wolfpack Sting is by far the best thing to me. When he went from white and black to red and black, don't turn your back on Wolfpack, man. That was my Sting right there. I
we
loved every
might
second of
have
it.
to do that gave you a great idea. We might have to do like an exploration and legendary factions, man, because I got some hot takes about the Wolfpack. Man, they were cool at the time, but retrospect, that was the most hodgepodge, random shuffle I've ever seen. We had K Dog, like the Latino gangster for some reason, who used to be like the Barbarian or something. Who was he before K Dog? I can't remember. Conan.
Oh,
Yeah, he was Conan. Then you had Thing, who just spent like the last 2 years against the NWO, was like, all right, I'll join you guys. You had Lex Luger, who was just like, all right, he definitely fits more of the classic NWO Macho Man for a little bit before he turned back. Then Kurt Hennig for a little bit before he turned on him, and no Scott Hall. So yeah, in retrospect, they were just cool because the NWO was getting stale. But yeah, I got some hot takes against Wolfpack. I think they're the most
and
over.
and listen, they intro song. You can hear that beat right now in your head, just mentioning the Wolfpack.
Don't turn your back on the wolf pack. You're my
Yes,
enemy.
sir.
Body
In a
bag.
body bag.
Body bag. Jesus Christ. I digress. Yeah, we're going to have to do the greatest factions episode. I see that coming soon, man. So, of course, we always have a couple of clips to show you guys what's been going on, and then we're going to talk about them. So, it's clip time, baby. Let's go ahead
Yes,
and,
sir.
in my Dusty Rhodes voice, introduce the next clips where your hands will be touching my hands. This guy right here is over like Rover, and I don't know when they're going to pull the trigger on him, but the Waller.
It was going to be Roman Reigns versus The Rock. As you can tell, Australia really wanted to see that match.
Yo, I love Grayson Waller, man. I don't know why, but I love Grayson Waller, man. I'm ready to shoot him to the moon, man. What did you think about that segment? And more importantly, will Seth be turning on Cody? Because I think that's coming. But what did you think the segment and the union of Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes?
I think, like you said, the CM Punk injury changed a lot of stuff. This is another part of that where they're doing it on the fly. I don't see him turning on Cody, but what I see is this is a microcosm to help the bloodline get stronger. When I say that, I'm not talking about the bloodline as it's presently constructed. With introducing The Rock and all the telltale signs of The Rock turning on Roman, uh, I think that'll be something that's good. As you see, Uh, Haku's son is coming out of his contract, and the rumor is he's coming. Yep, coming to the WWE. So you could look at a bloodline split down the middle. Who will run the table? Is there a table that's left? The island of relevancy may have no vacancies. Man, it breeds all kinds of adventures on our part. Grayson Waller, I'm gonna say this: he was interested in NXT. He's found his niche as this generation's Miz if they use him right. He has a great move set as a wrestler when you get to see him wrestle. So yeah, Grayson Waller, he's comical, but he can hold his own in the ring. So I think once they do push him, that's going to be great.
Yeah, one thing he has that the Miz doesn't have, he actually has that size and stature where you're like,
Hmm.
okay, and he has a background as a boxer, so you can legitimately, I could see them adding a little mean switch to him, give him that little edge that he needs, and shoot him to the moon. But I'm a big fan. Another person that I'm a big fan of this next clip who has no darn business being this good. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. They used to call Dustin Rhodes the natural. This young man is truly a natural. And let's talk about his performance in the chamber. Hell of a performance in the chamber. Very impressive. Looks like setting up for a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Once again, has no business being this damn good. But what did you think about Logan Paul? And it looks like he's going to be taking on Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
I first let's give credit where credit is due. Even though he is very young coming into the wrestling game, in the new WWE game, they already got him rated at a 90. Let's think about that for a minute. There's some great wrestlers. I mean, great wrestlers who had stellar careers who didn't get to a 90 in the wrestling game. He's already a 90. Uh, Uber athletic. Uh, you can't stand him once he's in there, and he can talk on the mic. He is the perfect wrestling character
Mm,
if you were creating a heel from scratch.
mm. And that's the perfect, because I always say Orton is your ideal professional wrestler if you're creating one on scratch. That's what it would look like. And if you're creating a heel, and God knows Orton is the one that, we want to see him punt him in the head. We want to see him take, and that's perfect for Logan Paul's, busy schedule. Facing Randy Orton, I could see him being out 3 or 4 months after Orton does what he does. And
Right.
we know Orton, best shape of his life. He said it himself. Feels good. He's been selling at a elite level, and really, he's so believable being dominant. He doesn't have to take that many bumps to put on a crazy match because it's just that good and that smooth. I'm actually excited for the match, and I think it has potential to steal the show of WrestleMania if that's how they so choose to go.
Is it fair to say that besides the comedy of our truth, Logan Paul is on par for as much, movement and heat as babyface LA Knight? I can't. I'm telling you, Logan Paul has come into the wrestling world and made this his own. He has cleared his own lane and said, "I'm going to push Prime. I'm going to be booed. I'm still a champion, and nothing you guys can do about it. It's perfect." And so, you kind of have to give him credit. Even he's doing the same thing in wrestling that he did on the internet. He's marketing himself to the moon, and people are eating it up.
No, he's a marketing mastermind, and he's definitely doing this thing. I think it's a perfect union. I was a little suspicious about that 90 rating when I saw the ratings come out because I thought Johnny Gargano had like a 73, and I was like, all right, now, come on. What is this based off? Luckily, I go and change ratings anyway on the game as soon as I get it. I'm like, all right, you're going to be an 85, you're going to be this. But yeah, man, Logan Paul, I don't know if he's still a rookie anymore, but definitely iconic. I never thought he would go this quickly to the level that he's gone. I'm very excited for the match. Like I said, mark my words now, it has the opportunity to steal the show.
And he could lose that belt to Randy, and no one would be mad that he loses at WrestleMania to Randy Orton,
Yeah,
which
no,
would clear a clear path for him. Whoever wins out of Drew and Seth, if they're not gonna do anything with pushing LA Knight for a belt, you could put a belt on Logan Paul and be like he is just as bad as Roman Reigns and create a brand new storyline for 2025.
absolutely. No, absolutely. And it before it's all said and done, mark my words, Logan Paul will be world champion. At least world
Mhm.
champion. He might be the WWE Universal champion, but he will be world champion by the end of 2025. I see it coming. Now, something that we mentioned earlier that we completely expected, but Drew McIntyre, man, doing the best work of his career, in my opinion. He is the likable heel where you're like,